Dutch van der Linde's relationship with Angelo Brontë in Red Dead Redemption 2 is the most brutal reality check Dutch ever receives, because Brontë exposes the lie at the center of Dutch's identity, that charisma and ideology can substitute for real power. This isn't a clash of criminals, it's a collision between an outlaw who thinks he understands civilization and a man who actually owns part of it. When Dutch enters Saint Denis, he believes he's adapting. He dresses better, speaks softer, and convinces himself he's evolving beyond robberies and camps into something more refined. Angelo Brontë is the embodiment of what Dutch thinks he's becoming. Brontë is calm, wealthy, politically connected, and insulated from consequences. He doesn't run from the law that he hosted at dinner. Dutch sees Brontë as a potential equal, someone who operates above the chaos. What Dutch fails to understand is that Brontë doesn't see equals, he sees assets. From their first meeting, Brontë is clearly amused by Dutch. He listens politely, offers small opportunities, and feeds Dutch just enough success to keep him cooperative. Jobs like tracking the street kids or helping retrieve stolen goods aren't real partnerships, they're tests. Brontë is measuring how desperate Dutch is, how easily he can be flattered, and how far he can be pushed. Dutch interprets this as respect. Arthur notably does not. Arthur senses immediately that Brontë is smiling because he's already won. The street kids incident is especially revealing. Brontë knowingly sets Dutch up to be humiliated, allowing the boys to rob him and escape. This isn't accidental, it's Brontë asserting dominance without violence. He's showing Dutch that Saint Denis isn't the frontier and brute force isn't the currency here. Control is. Dutch laughs it off publicly, but privately it eats at him. His authority depends on being the smartest man in the room, and Brontë strips that away effortlessly. What truly breaks Dutch is realizing that Brontë has no intention of letting the gang rise. The trolley station robbery proves it. Brontë gives Dutch bad information, knowing it will lead to disaster. Law enforcement swarms the area, civilians die, and the gang barely escapes. Brontë doesn't need Dutch dead. He needs him gone. Dutch has outlived his usefulness, and Brontë removes him the same way he removes any inconvenience. Indirectly, cleanly, and without risk. Dutch's response to this betrayal is telling. He doesn't accept that he was manipulated. He reframes it as a personal insult that must be avenged. The kidnapping of Brontë isn't strategic. It's emotional. Dutch drags him through the swamp not to extract information, but to reclaim his wounded pride. Bronte's final moments are devastating, because even then he doesn't take Dutch seriously. He mocks him, laughs at his ideals, and calls him exactly what he is. A man pretending to be important in a world that has already moved on. When Dutch feeds Brontë to the alligator, it's one of the most disturbing moments in the game. Not because of the violence, but because of what it reveals. This isn't justice or survival. It's denial. Dutch kills Brontë to silence the truth Brontë represents. That Dutch's philosophy has no place in modern America. Civilization didn't corrupt Dutch's dream. It rendered it irrelevant. After Brontë, Dutch fundamentally changes. He stops trying to integrate with society and starts openly rejecting it. Saint Denis marks the end of Dutch's illusion that he can outthink the system. From that point on, every plan becomes louder, bloodier, and less coherent. Brontë doesn't just defeat Dutch, he accelerates his collapse by proving that intelligence without humility becomes arrogance, and ideology without adaptability becomes madness. Angelo Brontë is the first man Dutch meets who cannot be intimidated, inspired, or outsmarted. And because Dutch cannot accept that, he chooses destruction instead. In that sense, Bronté's true victory isn't his survival. It's the fact that Dutch leaves Saint Denis broken, exposed, and closer than ever to becoming exactly what he claims to hate. And that's the tragedy of it. Brontë never needed to kill Dutch, because the damage was already done. By showing Dutch how small he really was in the modern world, Brontë shattered the last version of Dutch that believed he could still win on intellect alone. From that moment forward, Dutch stops learning and starts reacting. And every failure after Saint Denis traces back to that single realization he can't face.